Today I'm gonna introduce 10 heart-pounding horror games to you all. Without further ado, let's dive right in. The first main series installment to use first-person perspective, Resident Evil 7 brings a familiar gameplay loop of strategy and resource management, but with a twist towards psychological horror and an unprecedented eerie atmosphere compared to its predecessors. While still centered around bioweapons, the traditional zombies we knew are gone. The setting feels smaller, resembling more of horror adventure for the protagonist, Ethan. Influencing Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 4 Remake, it's a perfect entry point for the newcomers to the series. According to Capcom's million-seller titles data, with over 12.4 million copies sold across all platforms, its popularity and impact in the gaming world are undeniable. Overall, Resident Evil 7 is a successful survival horror game, celebrated for its flowing gameplay, captivating story, and impressive sales. Outlast 2's plot might seem loosely connected to the first game, but clues scattered reveals shadows of tech company from Outlast 1. Unlike its predecessor, the sequel's oppressive atmosphere isn't that strong, but it compensates with its level of horror. The story is more complex, requiring players to piece together and ponder over clues. Gameplay is limited to running and hiding, with no means to counter enemies. The dual narrative shed light on the protagonist's past and ties in the story from the first game. Despite the less intense atmosphere than the first game, it still offers a sense of despair and fear in its dark, confined spaces. The protagonist's doubt, anger, fear, and regrets are palpable, with an open-ended conclusion leaving room for players' imagination. Overall, it remains a highly rated horror game. Little Nightmares is a beautifully dark puzzle game with a clever level design, fitting background music, and a thought-provoking story told subtly. It has elements of thrill and horror, but is not overwhelmingly frightening, making it even more engaging. The cinematic quality of cutscenes, the game's visuals, and its social commentary are memorable. Powered by Unreal Engine 4, the detailed environment and realistic adversaries create a creepy vibe, complemented by the music and a meaningful plot. As time passes, we become the very people we once despised. The upcoming Little Nightmares 3, which promises online cooperation, are also worth looking forward to. The Medium is the next generation's first major horror puzzle game and the Blubber's team's greatest work to date, though it doesn't quite surpass their previous title like Layers of Fear or Blair Witch. The game excels in its packaging, artistic scene composition, the eerie atmosphere of the Otherworld, next-generation visuals with ray tracing, and Akira Yamaka's excellent music, by which I mean the ending song voices perfectly combines music and lyrics. While it's hard to rate highly in other aspects, I believe Bloober Team can do better, and the abrupt ending hints at a sequel. Well, I'm eager for the sequel and more engaging gameplay experience. Bendy and the Ink Machine is a horror puzzle game with a nostalgic rubber hose animation style, creating a unique contrast with its overall horror atmosphere. The horror elements are limited, with most scares coming from jumps and chases. The atmosphere contributes slightly but doesn't immerse deeply, falling short of Five Nights at Freddy's. Once players acquire weapons, the Ink Monster lose their threat. Puzzle-wise, the game meets the standard for horror game puzzles without standing out. Solving puzzles is straightforward, focusing on observation and attention. Despite its flaws, the game's story, world building, unique art style, and catchy music have garnered fanbase, making it a worthwhile horror game. The Evil Within is developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. It sets the story in Crimson City, where players, as Detective Sebastian, investigate a gruesome murder case alongside partner Joseph and rookie detective Kidman. The game is a successful attempt at survival horror, innovating in gameplay, character development, music, and visuals. Both The Evil Within and its sequel are highly successful survival horror games, worth playing. Metro 2033 is a first-person shooter developed by Fury Games, inspired by Dmitry Glukhovsky's best-selling novel. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by nuclear war. Survivors take refuge in Moscow's metro stations. The game excels in creating a tense atmosphere and engaging story, winning many fans. Players explore a dangerous, irradiated world, fighting mutants and other threats while solving puzzles. Despite room for improvement in character models and animations, and a somewhat light-hearted music atmosphere, the game offers an excellent post-apocalyptic experience for the fans of the genre. Developed and published by Techland, Dying Light is an action game loved for its unique open-world setting and thrilling gameplay. In a vast city devastated by the virus outbreak, players scavenge for supplies and craft weapons to fend off the growing infected population during the day. At night, the game becomes even more intense. Known for its rich story and character development, players step into the shoes of legendary Kyle Crane, making choices that affect the story and the character's fate. The game's compelling storyline immerses players deeply into the character's inner worlds. Darkwood excels in creating a horror atmosphere without relying on sudden jump scares typical of 3D action-adventure games. The game's difficulty, limited resources, and the risk in acquiring them make players feel despair and helplessness from the start. With a rich background and a deeply unsettling story, it achieves psychological horror in its truest sense. Man of Medan, developed by Supermassive, is an interactive movie-style game with horror elements, part of the Dark Pictures horror game series. It follows the same choice and quick-time event mechanics as the Supermassive previous PlayStation 4 exclusive, Until Dawn, with a similar storytelling approach. The game revolves around a group of thrill-seeking youth filled with cliches common in B-grade horror films. Unlike Until Dawn, Man of Medan's subplot script and messy narrative pacing cheapen the otherwise well-crafted horror atmosphere, turning what could have been suspenseful moments into a series of poor experiences. As a horror game, Man of Medan might be considered a letdown, but it can still be enjoyed as a low-budget B-grade horror film akin to The Hills Have Eyes or Wrong Turn. Alright, that's all for this roundup. Hope you guys enjoy it.